I absolutely love Cyberdecks and handheld computers, but until today, I'd never actually built one myself. And yeah, sure, I assembled a U console, and it's a pretty cool device, but I've never actually done a DIY project. Well, this is the Pi Flux by Carbon Computers. Well, it's going to be because we're building this today. And actually, technically, that's just the shell. Here's all the other parts. We've got a Raspberry Pi 5, keyboard, battery, and a WaveShare screen. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much to Carbon Computers for hooking me up with this. I can't wait to build it. And if you want to get anything from them, use code MAYHEM for a discount. And if you happen to notice my shirt, this is a brand new shirt we've got over at shop.squach.zip. There's a link down in the description if you want one. And we've even got hats. This is a real Richardson Model 112. They're fantastic. All right, that's enough shameless self-promotion. Let's build a Cyberdeck. And I think this is about as zoomed out as I've ever been on this desk before, but yeah, this is the case for it. This is the Squach Edition, so it says Squach right there. I printed this case myself. They were nice enough to provide the STL files. I know they're proprietary, but they let me play with them. We added Hack the Planet back there, and we have this absolutely amazing sparkle green PETG in the back. It looks so good. And there's actually also this plate that sits on there as well. I kind of went with the Joker theme just because I really like this PETG and this colorway. It looks absolutely amazing. It's got a cool little wires and box down here. It's just kind of a cyberpunk feel. It's cool, no worries. And then we have this little handle right there which folds up and down. Very cool. So let's move this out of the way for the moment. We'll get back to it. So the way this all works is they send you a kit and they have all the parts that you need, including this little bag of parts right here, which I'll show in a second. Very cool. So yeah, this is actually just a battery bank. You find the power button over there. You can press that. It's got a little paw that tells us our power consumption. It's very cool. I love this thing. And then yeah, the USB cable integrated just like that. Very cool. It's got a little light up here, which is kind of cool because there's a hole in the case that makes it so it shines through the case. Very cool. Moving on, we do have this keyboard. It's an RGB keyboard and tilt keyboard. It's very capable, very good. It's made by WinMaxel, and we'll actually be taking it apart to fit it in the case, and it's over there now. Awesome. Speaking of which, more 3D printed parts, we'll show you those later. This is such a nice screen. This is a WaveShare 5-inch DSi touchscreen. It's so nice. Premium build quality. It feels amazing. So I'm very psyched to be using this screen. Move that over there. And the piece de resistance over here, this is our Raspberry Pi 5. This is a 2 gig RAM version, and man, unfortunately, the thing that is really rough about handhelds nowadays is that these Raspberry Pis went from being a pretty approachable, affordable piece of equipment to basically just crack. This stuff is insanely expensive. I might as well be holding an M.2 SSD because these things are absolutely nuts. I'm very much hoping that the price of these come down because right now, I don't even want to know what these things run, but I know they're not free. And then we just have our bag of parts. It actually comes with everything you need to build it, and this is an SD card slot extender so we can move the SD card to wherever we want it. All right, so let's clear some space over here and we'll start building this thing. Yoink! So here we are. This is the back plate. It says Pi Flux. This is version 1.10. Awesome. And then we have our bag of parts. So let's dump all these out. Let's go up here so we have a little bit of space because I know the first thing we're doing is installing this. So this is the SD card mover because the SD card on the Raspberry Pi is underneath right here, which is not a great spot for it. So we're going to attach this so we can move it. Do not lose the SD card. If I'm looking for it later, remind me that that's where it is. So we'll go ahead and plug this bad boy in just like this, making sure the pads are in the right direction, which is not that way. There we go. Plug that guy in and we're good to go. And then we've got this little SD card extender right there. And then we've got a spot for it right here. So that's where this guy lives. So let's go ahead and place that right where it goes here. And it even came with 2 little screws that we can screw it in. Couldn't be easier. So I guess we should actually just unplug this because seeing how expensive this Raspberry Pi 5 is, I might as well not break it in this process because all we got to do is screw it down. Now we do have supplied screws right here. And we're going to grab our screwdriver with a 1.5 millimeter on there. Grab that, and we should be able to screw this right in. Oh, actually, no, that's even smaller. Need a smaller screwdriver. Oh, wait, it actually is a 1.5. That was just a skill issue.
Idiot.
These things happen. Let's get this screwed in. Now, this is PETG, so it might be a little hard to screw into, but I don't know. I don't think it's too bad. Oh, yeah. That's going. No problem. Grab the other screw. Get that right in there. I know, focus is so hard on videos like this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing my best. Alrighty. And we are in. Perfect. Now we have the battery. This is actually pretty cool the way they set this up because remember we showed the paw print and it has the charge on there? So that actually lines up with these holes in the back here. So what we do is we fold this around like that. It's going to be a little hard to do it. Again, camera makes everything harder. And that sits right in as such. So now the light from the paw print are in the hole, so that gives us our charge. It's so cool. They really did a great job designing this thing. So this goes right in the little channel, so we can push that in just as such, making sure not to cover that post. Push that out of the way. Cool. Don't want to be in the way of that post. And now we can go ahead and grab our screen. And that brings us to our display. Now this is an absolutely gorgeous touch display. Linux doesn't always love touch displays, but this one works fantastic. It's made by WaveShare. WaveShare makes amazing stuff. So anytime I get to use one of their products, I'm always psyched about it. Now this screen also comes with this bag of parts. We are going to use the screws, but we don't need the standoff. So let's get the screws out. Let's just put these all hopefully here and we don't lose any of them. The screen also comes with this JST connector, which we're going to use to connect the display to the device itself or to the Raspberry Pi itself. So we'll plug that in, making sure the orientation of this little post matches where it's supposed to be. A little finicky, but you can get it in there. Yeah. There we go. In perfectly. And now we have the bane of my existence, and the reason why the video is a week later than it's supposed to be is this ribbon cable. So when I was test fitting this entire project, I got everything booting and working except for the screen. And I kept thinking it was a driver problem, and I kept going around in circles. I spent like 2 hours, and then I found out that it was just a ribbon cable plugged in wrong. So, you know, keep an eye out and be careful. So you want to make sure the terminals on there, the shiny part, are on top right here. And then we're just going to make sure that both of these little tabs right there are pulled out. Just push one in. And get this ribbon cable lined up and inserted as well as we possibly can, making sure, again, everything is pushed in all the way and lined up. So that looks like everything's pushed in and lined up right there. So then we push down on the tabs, and that should lock it into place. That looks plugged in and crimped. Awesome. This should work, I hope. Editing Sasquach here. This may be foreshadowing. All right, so from here, we're gonna grab our Raspberry Pi, and these things are just so cool. It's such a great little device right here. And we're gonna go ahead and plug this ribbon cable into this port right there. So let's go ahead and do that. The cable's plenty long, so I can kind of do it easily, making sure it's plugged in the correct orientation. There we go. That's in all the way. It's hard to see, but that should do it. You sure about that? Push this guy back down to make sure that this ribbon cable won't pull out. And then we're going to have to get a little bit more up close and personal because we need to plug in the power into these two pins right here. We want to make sure that the red wire on this connector goes to the first pin. Very important. So red power pin goes on top. Clip that down. So now our screen has power. Fantastic. Now that we're holding this as precariously as humanly possible, we are going to screw this thing in. So we're just going to make sure that when we screw this in that some of the slack is kind of taken up because we don't want to have too much junk inside there, but we want to make sure we don't damage our cable as well. All right, cool. So that should be fine right there. I don't think that's going to hurt anything. Got a little bit of relief in there. And if we have to change it later, we will. So let's get this lined up and then let's get these screws screwed. There we go. And screw that guy in. So now we have our Raspberry Pi and our screen all ready to go. And in classic Squach fashion, I may have installed it upside down or backwards either way, so I flipped it around just to make sure everything lines up with the case, because that would be a bummer if it doesn't line up with the case. More foreshadowing. So from here, we're going to ever so gently attach this SD card adapter, which goes into here. Oh, actually, I'm forgetting a step. So let's put this down real quick. We have these. So this is a USB-C adapter that we need for the push-pull mechanism on this bad boy. So we're actually going to put this guy into this tab right here. If you put it in the right orientation, it works a lot better. Push that in here. And this is the power mechanism for our Raspberry Pi with our battery. It's very cool. And this guy is going to go into the USB-C port right over yonder. We'll pop it in right now because now we're going to connect the SD card adapter and be able to put the screen in place. So ever so gently, we're going to, I don't know if you can see, but right in yonder, there we go. You can kind of see the SD card goes in there. So we're going to go ahead and stand this guy up. Hopefully we can plug all of this in with the not as many hands as I need to do this properly for this video. And we're just going to go in there, make sure that goes all the way in, which it's good. And now we can pop this bad boy into the actual case itself. Oh yeah, derp. I should also probably plug the power into this thing first because that's how this guy works. Plug that in because that's what it's all about. We need the power. Making sure I have enough cable here. That looks good. And then let's see if we can wiggle this around again. I want to go on this side. I'm going to go on this side of this ribbon and then take that and plug that into the power side of our USB right as such right there. Bam. Oh no, it's on. Oh God, it's on. It's okay. we're fine. That's actually how this works. So that's fine that that's on. We're going to pop that through the hole again, being very careful. And then now we should be able to plug in. Just got to wiggle. Actually, do that first. It's a little tricky to do everything all at the same time here, folks, but there it is. That's lined up. That needs to get past here. There we go. Clip that down. Now we're good. And then we line up the holes with the posts. There we go. So the holes with the posts there, you can see they're right there, lining up. There we go. And then snap that down, and then we're good. Now we have a screen and a battery. Our Raspberry Pi is on, hence the green light under there. There is the green light, but there's no SD card on here, so it ain't doing anything. So let's show you how this on, off, push, pull thing works. We have over here a keyring, because we don't really want this thing on anymore. And the keyring goes through the hole in this post, and you can see, oh, it's illuminating right there. It's so cool. It's actually blue. Looks super cool. So let's put the keyring in the keyhole. Ooh, she tight. She's snug. There we go. We're in there. So now we've got our keyring in place. I'm going to hold the screen down because that's holding everything. Give it a nice little rip. Now that should be powered off. There we go. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is what every smart person would do is we're going to go ahead and test that this thing works. So I've got my 32 gig SD card from Just Call Me Coco. Thank you so much, buddy. And we're going to go ahead and plug that bad boy in. I believe the orientation goes just like this. If I'm wrong, it won't fit. But give it the old business. Ooh, it's a clicky little SD card slot. I love the clicky boys. And then let's just fire this guy back on, push that in, and hello. This should fire up. So I'm doing this as kind of a full DIY project, so I had to pre-flash my own SD card, so I used Trixie. So with any luck, this bad boy will fire up. If it doesn't, it's probably the ribbon cable again, and I'll have to double check that. But let's see if we're lucky. Green light is on, so we are doing something.
Nope.
Now, I think the backlight just kicked on.
Nope.
I can't tell because I got my really bright lights on. I feel like this should be booted by now.
Nope.
Yep, I blame the ribbon cable. Let's reseat that guy. But not before this segue to today's sponsor, PCBWAY. PCBWAY is your one-stop shop for all things PCB design, manufacturing, CNC, sheet metal fabrication, and so much more. And there's still time to participate in the 2026 KiCad PCB Design Contest. You have until June 15th to enter your own PCB design for a chance to win a Raspberry Pi 5 and $500 cash. So head on down to PCBWAY.com to participate or to just get some really amazing projects done. Thank you so much to PCBWAY for your continued support. You guys are awesome. All right, let's get back at it. Alrighty, having fun here. Unpop this guy. This is literally why it took me a week later because of that stupid ribbon cable and it's giving me problems. Oh, we're back. We're back, boys. Look at that. Oh, thank God. I was so concerned for a minute. Oh my goodness. Hello. Life is better. Life is better with a working piece of equipment. And you can see I already threw on my logo and stuff. We're all ready for some cool stuff. All right, let's finish this build now that we know we're not totally borked. Good God, that scared the crap out of me. Okay, all right, so now that we have the scary part figured out, let's move this out of the way so we don't damage anything here. We've got our keyboard. So the way the keyboard's gonna work is actually, let's unplug our keyboard dongle and let's just drop it directly into the Pi Flux using one of the slower USBs, because why use a 3.0 when you don't need one? Plug that in, and that'll make our keyboard work. We'll sit you right over there. So what we're actually going to do is remove the keyboard from the casing and then insert it directly into the case. It's so clever. Gonna grab our Phillips head, pop it into here because there's a lot of screws and we don't need to spend forever unscrewing screws. And we'll just go ahead and unscrew these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and take this apart. I do know I need the power button. That's very important. So see if we can unclamshell the clam. Oh yeah, here we go. Whoop, dropping the other screws, but that's okay. And yeah, look at that. We have our membranes and our buttons and all that cool stuff. Fantastic. Let's get this off this board. I think we just kind of give it the business. So when in doubt, we're just going to have to apply some more violence. Because yeah, there's just clips right there, I think. Yeah, those are just little tiny clips. And I gotta imagine if I break them, who the heck cares, right? I'm not going to be able to put this thing back together anyway. There we go. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. That was one clip, 2 clips. Just come off, you piece of... Yeah, come on. There we go. There we go. Now we're making progress. And then this power button, I'm going to keep down here just in case I drop it. There we go. Sits right there. And there's our power button that we don't want to lose. So there we go. I caught it. Thank you. And this is gone. And here we go. We've got our keyboards right here. Very cool. And in the back here, I'm actually watching Valleytech's Cal's video on the Pi Flux to make sure I don't miss any steps on here. What's really cool about this that he points out is that you can actually take this battery off and power the keyboard directly from the Raspberry Pi using those 2 pads right here. But as he points out, it's really nice to be able to just recharge this on its own and not pull too much power from the Raspberry Pi. Very, very cool. So from here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take... Oh, what's rolling around in there? Ah, there's a screw in there. Holy crap. Good thing I found that one. That didn't need to be inside there. So what we're going to do is we printed this, which is a keyboard carrier. And the keyboard carrier sits right over these pins right here. You should just be able to push that on here as such. And yeah, kind of sits this guy right in place there. Couldn't be easier. It kind of just sandwiches in there. Perfect. So, stay. What we're going to do from there is grab our front panel right here. And we're going to go ahead and move this over because we don't need this right now. And we're going to take the face of the keyboard, so this guy right here, and we're going to clip this into here. Now, we don't need this black part, so we can just get rid of that too. Yeet. And then this is going to just kind of clip right in here, making sure you have the right orientation. So, kind of push that and make sure that's sitting right in place as such. All right, so now we've got this in place, and I figured out in classic Squach fashion, I may have misprinted, or I may have printed the wrong actual front place for this, because this doesn't actually have an opening for the buttons. So we'll figure that out in post later, no big deal, because we just won't be able to charge the keyboard until I print a new faceplate, but whatever. Notice I did put in little brass inserts. These are really cool, they work super awesome, and it makes it a little bit easier to take things apart over and over again. So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and take our other part of the keyboard here and just kind of clip it into the place. Now you can see over here where there should be holes for the power and the USB, but again, I printed this myself and I selected which files to print, so I just picked the wrong one. No big deal. This will clip in place just fine on its own because, remember, you can have this hooked up directly to the Raspberry Pi itself for power, and then you wouldn't need the side holes, so it's not a big deal. Everything still works either way. We'll be fine, you know. Classic stalking Sasquatch video where we do something wrong because we don't know what we're doing. Yeah, buttons all still feel good. Everything looks like it's in correctly, so we won't let that bother us too much right now. So from here, we actually can go ahead and start assembling this thing, which is pretty neat. So we should be able to just flip this like this and push this on top like so. And then all we got to do, oh my god, this thing looks so freaking cool. All we got to do is screw it all together. We have a bunch of screws in the back, so let's flip this over and get that going. So they did supply all these brilliant screws for us to screw those in with, and yeah, let's get to screwing. All right, cool. Time for some rapid fire screwing. So we'll just drop some of these into here, and yeah, you're just gonna go through and screw them into the screw holes over there. And then the other piece, there's actually little hidden screw holes I cleaned out already, and that was for holding together the back plate, which we'll do in a second. We'll just start dropping some screws into screw holes and keep moving. And switch out our head over here. Now, one of the problems that I've run into with this is that most of my screwdrivers don't have a large enough shank or a long enough shank in order to get to the bottom of the screw hole, so we may have to switch tools, but we'll see how this goes. At least we'll get most of the work done with the electric screwdriver. Yeah, it bottoms out, so that's okay. Go back to this bottom corner, kind of get some substance to this thing. This is screwed down. Yeah, bottomed out again. Yam here, buddy. Might as well screw it more in there. Oh. This is why I love brass heat inserts, because it just makes it so easy to screw in. Time to grab a different screwdriver for this one. All right, let's see if the LTT screwdriver can do it. Oh yeah, oh, are we gonna bottom out? Nope, we got it. Awesome, so we can get in there with that. Fantastic, we can finish this project up. And it's got an absolutely amazing fidget spinner on there. That thing spins forever. Super satisfying. Now we're almost done. It's looking so good, but we can make this look even better. And this guy's gonna go just like this and complete our build. Super freaking cool, so let's get right into that. Super cool. And we've got a little handle right there, which doubles as a stand, so we can sit it like this. And then let's go ahead and fire this sucker on. Push that down, and in just a second, this should come back. All right, so I got the brightness down, and I've turned on the RGB backlight. That's right, this thing has an RGB backlight. It's such a cool little handheld. It's so much fun to play with. It feels good in your hands. It's got a little bit of tactical ribbing on the side for his pleasure. And yeah, it's very, very cool. Again, I printed this. I added the Hack the Planet and the Squach on there. But aside from that, yeah, this is just the Pi Flux from Carbon Computers. A very capable, very fun little project to build. And yeah, these custom colors have been a lot of fun to work with. I wouldn't go ahead and ask them for any custom edition Squach stuff because obviously I printed the wrong thing anyway. But yeah, it came out super good. I absolutely love this little thing. So this is the Pi Flux by Carbon Computers, an absolutely amazing Raspberry Pi 5 powered Cyberdeck that you can build yourself thanks to Carbon Computers. And if you want one of your own, make sure to use code word MAYHEM for a discount. I don't know what the discount is, but I know it is a discount. Man, I absolutely love building projects like this, and if I can, taking you guys along with me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are absolute legends. Are there any more Cyberdecks you want to see me cover? Leave a comment down below. Otherwise, take it easy. We'll catch you next time.